Okay. Hi, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nondita Correa Mehrotra, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Nagari Film Festival 2025. On behalf of the Charles Correa Foundation, which conceives and curates the Nagari films, I want to thank you for joining us as we gather once again to reflect on our cities, how we inhabit them, how they shape us, and how we might imagine their future. Nagari was created with a simple but clear intention to serve as a bioscope for the city. Each year, we invite filmmakers, architects, urbanists, social scientists, and citizens to turn their gaze towards the lived realities, contradictions, and aspirations embedded within contemporary urban India. Over the last 6 years, this initiative has matured into a bold and visionary platform, one that uses the power of cinema to illuminate the complexities as well as realities of the Indian urban condition. What has truly distinguished Nagari is our focused short film competition format. Participants are challenged to craft 7-minute documentaries, short, distilled, narratively compelling films responding to critical urban themes that we stipulate each year. In past editions, we have explored housing adequacy, livelihoods, water systems, waste management, and mobility. This year, we turn our collective attention to the public realm, those spaces where democracy is enacted, identities negotiated, solidarities formed, and differences encountered. These are the spaces, the streets, the squares, markets, waterfronts, where the city becomes visible to itself and are critical spaces in the evolving urban cultures of our cities. By framing each edition around a timely and carefully considered theme, we hope that Nagari builds over time a rich and layered archive of urban stories, narratives that are firmly rooted in their local context, yet speak to broader, universal questions of equity, belonging, and urban citizenship. Another core strength of Nagari lies in its mentorship model. Each year, our participating filmmakers work closely with experienced mentors. These mentors are documentary practitioners who help refine ideas, strengthen narrative structures, and bridge the worlds of architecture, planning, and filmmaking. By centering marginal voices and focusing on the granular realities of daily life, Nagari seeks to democratize urban discourse. We want these films not only to move audiences, but to provoke meaningful questions like, who is the city for? How do we navigate it? What forces shape its growth? And how might we imagine urban futures that are inclusive, humane, and vibrant? In this way, the Nagari Film Festival honors Charles Correa's legacy while also building a living cinematic chronicle of India's urban present and future. Beyond the competition itself, we hope that these films contribute to a wider forum for civic engagement. And that brings us to the reason we are all here today, the opening of the Nagari Film Festival 2025, convened around the theme of public realm in urban India. To bring Nagari to life each year, we rely on a remarkable community, our panel of mentors and an annually rotating selection of resource experts help spotlight the urban issues embedded within each year's theme. Our brand new website, nagarifilms.org, lists nearly 120 individuals who have supported this initiative, including many from the CCF team. We have also been fortunate to screen our films at art festivals, like here at Serendipity, and been very fortunate to receive exceptionally generous funding over several years from the A.T. Chandra Foundation and more recently from the Tata Trust. With 60 completed films since we began during the pandemic in 2020, we owe immense gratitude to everyone who has contributed time, insight, creativity, and the belief in this project. Together, you have helped us document the evolving urban condition in India. We choose to call this series Nagari very intentionally. We wanted the films to address issues that affect urban India across all scales, not just those of our sprawling megacities, which often dominate the conversation simply because the problems are so vast and complex. We felt it was equally important to look at smaller cities and to identify inherent challenges before they become overwhelming. So to give you a sense of the magnitude of India's urban spectrum, at today's estimate, India has 6 megacities, cities with a population of over 1 crore. These are cities you all know, like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata, and Hyderabad. And then India has more than 65 cities with a population of over 10 lakh people. But now here is the truly staggering figure. Across the country, we have close to 500 cities with populations exceeding 1 lakh. 500 cities. This is the India we wanted to make visible. And the word Nagari seemed to capture this breadth, vitality, and diversity. In keeping with the Nagari ethos, we conceived the archive as a bioscope for the Indian city, a collection of short films that tells urban stories in accessible, human-centered ways. We felt strongly that these films should avoid technical jargon and planner's language. Instead, they should tell stories that allow audiences to intuitively grasp the issues through experience, emotion, and narrative. By creating 10 to 12 films each year on a single urban theme, we hope to build something more like an anthology, each film offering one facet, one window, one voice, collectively forming a complex, nuanced portrait of the issue at hand. In this way, the Nagari films serve both as a documentation and as a tool for deeper public understanding, valuable to citizens, urban professionals, and researchers alike. From the beginning, we knew we needed to involve young people. They bring fresh perspectives, new energies, and approaches unencumbered by long-held assumptions. And perhaps by engaging them at this early stage, we might inspire them to carry these urban concerns through their careers. This evening, to set the stage for our reflections, we begin with Charles Correa's own 1975 documentary, City on the Water. This influential film examines the birth of New Bombay, today's Navi Mumbai, conceived by him, Shirish Patel, and Praveena Mehta. The film is a strategic response to severe overcrowding and housing shortages that plagued Mumbai in the 1960s and 70s. Correa begins by laying out the pressures of the old island city, explosive population growth, limited land availability, inadequate transportation, and rising costs of living. He frames these not simply as infrastructural problems, but as fundamental questions of access, equity, and the right to opportunity. Through diagrams, models, archival footage, and on-site documentation, the film presents New Bombay as a carefully planned counter-magnet designed to redistribute population, create new employment nodes, and integrate housing with industry and infrastructure. Correa highlights key interventions, including the Thane Creek Bridge, and planned transit corridors which would physically and economically link the twin cities. What makes City on the Water enduringly relevant is its philosophical depth. Correa reminds us that cities are not merely physical constructs, they are reflections of collective values. The film argues for cities shaped by dignity, accessibility, and balanced growth, positioning New Bombay as both a practical response and an experiment in human urban futures. After the screening, we will move to the 2025 Nagari Award ceremony, where we will showcase the 11 short films created this year. Each one offers a distinct and insightful lens on the public realm, how we use it, contest it, transform it, and claim it. I also invite all of you to join us over the next 2 days, December 16th and 17th, for 6 sessions featuring landmark films such as Anand Patwardhan's Hamara Sheher, Payal Kabatia's All We Imagine Is Light, Avijit Mukul Kishore's Vertical City, Samira Jain's Mera Apna Sheher, and Syed Mirza's Salim Langre Pe Matro. Each session will include conversations with filmmakers as well as screenings of select Nagari films from previous years that resonate with the session's theme. Thank you once again for being here. We are delighted to share these films, ideas, and conversations with you and to celebrate the ever-unfolding stories of our cities. So let's begin. Thank you.
Incredible, isn't it? 500,000 people arriving every morning. Nobody leaving. From up there, they were just numbers. Down here, they're people. Now we've got 2 platforms full. Sometimes it's hard to remember I'm a human being. I love Bombay. I love its setting, the beaches and the fishing villages of the Konkan coast.
7 islands were joined more than 300 years ago to form a trading post for the East India Company, planting the seeds of a very extraordinary future. Bombay grew phenomenally, attracting people from all over the country, unleashing a staggering amount of initiative, energy, and imagination. When new technology came to Asia, more often than not, it came to Bombay. The dynamo generating all this growth was, of course, Bombay's magnificent harbour. The city soon established itself as one of Asia's finest ports. In 1865, Indian cotton catapulted into worldwide importance, and with it, the city of Bombay. Today, it is a nerve center of the nation's economy, a clearinghouse of enormous vitality for the exchange of goods and skills and services, of shared agricultural produce. Stretched out along the Arabian Sea, Bombay lies. A great metropolis of over 6 million people. Here, at the southern end, are located the headquarters of most of this country's commerce.
Nearly half the entire revenue of the government of India comes from this one city.
Nearby lies the great industrial belt of cotton mills. People live as close as possible, often illegally. But which is worse, the temporary slums or the permanent ones? In these towns, entire families live in single rooms the toilets are communal. There really isn't enough space for everyone, so men and older children sleep out under the open sky. Morning arrives, and with it starts the collection of water for the day's needs, the elementary essentials of life.
Isn't that marvelous? She's smiling. Even under these conditions, people retain their humanness, their dignity. These aren't the poorest people in Bombay. It is simply that they cannot compete for the space and services they require. From further and further north, the people come. About 2 or 3 persons a day are killed, falling off these trains. People need transport to find jobs, so they live illegally around the station. Do we really have to treat people this way? Yes, Bombay is a great city if you're rich enough. But what if you're poor? Delhi, for instance, has 16 square meters of open space per person. Bombay Island has less than 2. And this includes the traffic island. All around, the city is breaking down. Through neglect, through overuse, through the sheer weight of numbers. The queues stretch. For water. For buses. Every day the waiting's becoming more and more part of the lifestyle of the city.
The facts of the matter are brutally simple. You've got to be rich to afford Bombay. The city is really one long breakwater, protecting the harbor from the open sea. In the south, the jobs. In the north, the people's homes. Result, every day a massive flow of traffic southward in the morning, northward in the evening. Further result, escalating land prices, highest at the southern end of the city. As the land prices climb, the buildings grow taller. As they grow taller, they cost more, not only in money, but in things that we as a nation cannot afford, like steel and cement and high-speed lifts.
But don't tall buildings mean more homes for everybody?
If we look at land in a city, we find that only about 1/3 is residential. The rest is used up by industry, transport, commerce, and other things. Now let's halve the residential space, keeping all the other areas constant. The overall circle is somewhat smaller, but squeezing all those people into high-rise buildings is going to raise the price of construction, forcing the poor out onto the pavements. On the other hand, if we double the residential areas, we will have only a slightly larger circle, but the poor will have a place to live.
People want to be where the jobs are. Office jobs in Bombay are growing faster than factory jobs. And most of these office jobs are in the southern end of the city. Each new job adding to the pressure on trains and roads and parking space. Even the pressure on pavement space. 10 million people by 1985. How will we find more space?
Offices don't work in a vacuum. They're closely related to transport and industry and finance. To shift office jobs, we must first find an area where these already exist. Across the harbor, there may well be such a possibility. First of all, we have the new Thane Creek Bridge, along which will run the national highway to the hinterland of Maharashtra. Secondly, there is the new industrial belt from Thane to Belapur. Thirdly, the new docks at Nhava Sheva, which will have a larger capacity than the existing docks in the old city. The interaction of these particular inputs could generate a new commercial center, like the one started on those 7 islands over 300 years ago. Almost 500,000 people in Bombay are government employed. Every job moved will help Bombay, as well as the new office center across the harbor.
Each government job triggers off 5 other jobs, forming the basis for New Bombay, the city of 2 million being planned and developed across the harbor. In 1970, government notified this entire area for acquisition.
$55,000 acres of land running from hills down to water. An urban effort on a scale unparalleled anywhere in the world today. Here, in this land, the future of 2 million people, where even the poorest must have a place and a space to live. Opening up the harbor will bring the waterfront back to Bombay. Plazas, like the gateway, along the eastern shore of the island will change the north-south structure into an east-west one. And looking eastward, the energy of New Bombay will stimulate development in the mainland, opening up new growth across the state. Water will once again become the focal point of the whole system, providing communication between the various centers. And in the middle of it all, the island of Elephanta. An umbilical cord that takes one back 1,000 years. Bombay from now on will become a multi-centered city around the harbor. Each new center opening up more space for the people of this city. This is a unique opportunity.
Do you think we'll make it? Do you think we'll be able to turn Bombay again into a place we can live in and work in and enjoy being in? I often think of this city, what it was, what it is. And what it could become again. That finest of things, a city on the water.
A very good evening, everyone, once again. Um, so I think that's a great way to start a festival on city films by reflecting on City on the Water by Mr. Correa. He not only, through his film, portrays his visionary idea for decongesting Mumbai, but also sort of pushes us to think the issues that have been portrayed in the film here, how relevant they are today. What are the solutions that we've come up with, and how best can they be addressed in today's day and context? But moving on from that, this year, Nagari looked at the public realm in urban India. The films examine the everyday, layered, and complex interaction of people from different castes, classes, age, and gender with the public realm. Through moving narratives and impactful storytelling, our films this year attempted to address three core questions: how are public spaces being used, who has access to them, and when are they being used? As we celebrate the 6th edition of the Nagari Short Film Competition, we are elated to present to you the 11 films that have recently been added to the Nagari Film Archive. For your viewing this evening, we have curated these films into 3 sets showcasing the diverse layers that constitute our public realm. It gives me great pleasure to invite one of our mentors from Nagari 2025, Saurav Sarangi, to introduce you to our first set.
Thank you, Tanvi, and thank you all. I'm really very happy to be here in Goa with you. Almost I have a jet lag coming from Kolkata because of delayed flights and rescheduling and all that. Actually, I live in Kolkata currently in a space which is not very far from the airport. It's called New Town, which is kind of smart city. It has a lot of open spaces, public spaces. But hardly, very rarely, people go there. Before that, I used to live in South Kolkata. Most of my part of my life I spent in South Kolkata, where there are public spaces, but those were approached and used differently. And I spent my college days in North Kolkata, College Street. Many of you might know. And it's much more congested. It's claustrophobic, and the spaces there meant something else. And while coming here today from Goa North Airport here, I was looking at the different spaces in Goa. Texturally, it looks different, definitely from where I live. But in essence, maybe the same haunting questions that Nondita nicely introduced and Tanvi mentioned remain there. Access. There are layers. Everything is every day, many things are happening. And I really enjoyed working with this year's theme, the public spaces, where we move every day but don't notice what is going on. I remember last year I was in Berlin with a film residency, and I looked at the map, and there was a huge, large green patch in the city of Berlin. I was wondering, what is it? It was an airport used in the World War II, and it's Tempelhof. And I asked, how come this much land is there? Because after the war was over, the mayor of Berlin asked the citizens, Berliners, what to do with this land. It's better to build houses because there are lots of houses damaged, lots of immigrants are there, so we need houses. They said, no, we need this space for us. And that is a wonderful space which I often visited too. This year's theme, I mentored 2 films. And the first is Pakram Pakrai. It's set in Agra, and the filmmakers are here. Her team is here. And Agra, to my notion, is a very old city. But the essence the filmmaker brings in this film It is very cosmopolitan. It's set on a marketplace which looks more like a mall to me, but there the perspective comes from the kids who also have their livelihoods attached to it. And it's a game, pakram pakrai. You can rob of many things from the children, but you cannot rob the fun and the game that they play. I'm sure you will enjoy that film. And there is another film which I did not, I think Deepa mentored it. It's Maujni Khoj and Seeking Fun. It's set in Bhuj, I think. It's a small city, and personally I have issues with wearing burqa and white big robes in our climate, in our country. But on reading the proposals and watching the cuts, I realized how it also gives the identity in a highly, everything is being watched, in a small town, and especially if you are from the minorities. And the film is about friendship, and it really liberates how the filmmaker kind of reinterpreted wearing burqa, So I'm quite intrigued by the film. I'm sure you will be too. And the third film is amazing. I really love the film. I think it has a long title. I think it's called How Much Space Firefly Need. It's set in Mumbai, and it's about gender, how the public spaces, they are sensitive or rather insensitive to other genders who are not straight people. And the film beautifully merges the performance where Kabir, the main protagonist, he enumerates what he feels through theatrical performance, and which is kind of fiction. And the filmmaker brilliantly blends it with the documentary reality that lies around. I think these are. Did I miss any other film? So these are the films which really we worked on. Actually, I rather enjoy the process. The final film is not really important for me. I enjoy the, how it comes from the written proposal, how it takes shape, what are the problems come up, a lot of things happen, and that is something I enjoy, but I'm sure you will enjoy the films. And please, I urge you, talk to these young kids, pamper them, ask them, because they will be making the new films, and that's important. Thank you.
तुम कब खेलते हो?
जेल बंद हो जाती है जब बंद होता पगला बंद हो जाता।
मंगल को क्या है? मंगल को तो बाजार बंद रहेगा ना।
क्योंकि मंगल को ना ज़्यादा भीड़ रहती है, हमें कोई टेंशन नहीं होती है फिल्म देखने की। मंगल को पहले खेलते हैं हम। अच्छा, अब आंगन में टकरा उन्होंने। उल्लू मत ना। जब नहीं गाना। यहाँ पे डोलते भी हैं ना, किसी के साथ भी ले लेते भी हैं, बस यहाँ पे मजा आता है। यहाँ पर खेलते भी हैं इस वजह से। घर पे तो कोई भी नहीं रहता, इस वजह से मन नहीं लगता। यहाँ पर सब लोग रहते हैं, मन लगता है। लाल वाला बलून दे। लाल वाला ये फुलवा के आया है। पुराना वाला तेरा। मेरे 10 बलून से। ओ देख। ठीक है, अपन खेलेंगे। लंबा वाला लेडीज की। हाँ बताइए, हाँ बताइए, तो होगा लेडीज का। बताइए बताइए, बता। लंबा है वो। रास्ता पता है?
हाँ हाँ।
કેમ્પ એરિયામાં અત્યારે થોડાક વર્ષોથી જ મુસ્લિમ વધી ગયા છે. ત્યાંય બહુ હિન્દુ રહેતા. એ લોકોએ કોલોનીઓમાં પ્લોટ લઈ લીધા અને અહીંયાથી ધીમે ધીમે બધા જતા રહ્યા કેમ્પથી. ને કેમ્પમાં બધા ભેગા થઈ ગયા બાજુમાં, તો પંચાયત બહુ વધી ગઈ. એક જ દિવાલ ઘર બાજુમાં. આપણા ઘરમાં ચમચી રાખીએ ને તો એ લોકોને સંભળાય. હું પહેલે બધી ટાઈપના કપડાં પહેરતી. મતલબ મારી પાસે ઘણા બધા હતા, એક મહિના સુધી જે રિપીટ ન થતા. તો બધી મારી ફ્રેન્ડ્સ હસતી કે તારી દુકાન છે કપડાની. પણ પછી થોડોક ટાઈમ રહીને અનકમ્ફર્ટેબલ લાગ્યું, તો મને ન ગમ્યું. તો પછી મેં નક્કી કર્યું કે હવે મને બુરખો પહેરવો છે. તો મારી ફ્રેન્ડનો બુરખો લઈને એને આખી રાત મારા માપનો કરી હાથથી સિલાઈ કરીને પછી હું પહેરીને કોલેજ જતી રહી. તો બધાને એમ થતું હતું કે આ મજાકમાં પહેરી આવી છે, કે મતલબ ને બહુ શોખ હતું ને એ કેમ બુરખો. તો કોઈકને એમ હતું કે જબરદસ્તી પહેરાવ્યું છે કોઈએ, પણ એવું ન હતું, મારી મરજીથી જ મેં પહેર્યું હતું.
હું પાર્લર ક્લાસમાં મળ્યા હતા અને ત્યારે ઓછી વાતચીત થતી. પછી મેકઅપનું કોમ્પિટિશન હતું ત્યારે અમે બંને એક ટીમમાં આવી ગયા. તો ત્યારે પ્રેક્ટિસ કરતા અને વાતચીત કરતા, તો ત્યારથી ફ્રેન્ડશિપ થઈ ગઈ.
પૂજ્યાના સામે જ રહું છું ને ક્યારે ઉપર સુધી નથી ગઈ. પણ એમ થાય કે ઉપરથી નીચે જોઈશ તો કેવું લાગશે, પણ ઉપર સુધી પહોંચી જ નહીં ક્યારે. કે જો અંધારાની માં આવશે ને એવું બધું. તો સ્ટોરીઓ બનાવીને દઈ દેતા અમને. મગજમાં બેસી ગઈ. કુલ્લું બનાવતું. મારા ઘરથી એટલે આમ રખડવું, જ્યાં ત્યાં જે મન આવે એમ કરવું, મજા આવે. પણ એના પણ આપણે તો પેલા પરમિશન લેવી પડે કે મમ્મી હું જાઉં, મમ્મી આ લોકો છે. અને એ લોકો ખાલી બાઇકની ચાવી લઈને કે હું અહીંયા જાઉં છું, ભલે મમ્મી. આપણે કોઈનું વેટ કરતા હોય તો 10 લોકો જોતા જાય કે અહીંયા શું કામ ઊભી છે. પછી આપણે કોઈના ભેગા નીકળીએ નહીં ત્યાર સુધી જોતા જ રહે કે કોના માટે ઊભી હતી. હું એકવાર ગઈ હતી ટ્યુશનમાં હતી મારી ફ્રેન્ડ્સ ભેગી, પણ એના પછી ક્યારેય ન ગઈ, કારણ કે મારા ભાઈ જોઈ ગયા હતા. પછી ઘરે આવીને એમ કીધું કે આમ સારું ન લાગે, આમ આવડા માણસો હતા. એટલું લેક્ચર સાંભળ્યું કે મને એમ થયું કે હવે ક્યારે પીવી જ નથી આમ ટપરીઓ પર જઈને ચા. એટલે જે શેરીઓમાં થતા હતા ગરબા, તો એ જોવા જતા હતા મમ્મીને અમે બધા. રાતના આખી રાત ત્યાં ગાડી આવતા, પણ આવી ખબર જ છે કે આ એરિયામાં નહીં આવવા દે. અમે આપણે પોતાનું માન તોડવા જવું. બધી ફ્રેન્ડ્સ અગર જોડે હોઈએ તો બાજુમાં જવું છે ને ચાલતા જવું છે, તો પાણીપુરી એક બહાનું મળી જાય ને કે ચાલ હવે પાણીપુરી ખાતા ને, તો એમ કરીને નીકળી જઈએ. બહુ દૂર પણ નહીં અને થોડીક રસ્તામાં વાતો પણ થઈ જાય, જે ઘરે કે બધા સામે ન કરી શકીએ. પણ ભાઈઓ સાંભળે બધું. ભાઈઓ બધું ગોસિપ સાંભળે. આપણે કે પણ કોઈક હવે નવું પણ આવશે ને જોડે
તો પૂછી લેશે કે કોણ હતા તમારી જોડે. એટલે અને એ પોતે પણ પોતાની લાઈફના વિશે ક્યારેક ક્યારેક કહી દે,
પોતાની લવ સ્ટોરી સંભળા.
दीदी के ऐसा हो गया, मेरी शादी के ऐसा हो गया, मेरी वाइफ ऐसी निकली.
आईफोन लेके दिया था फिर भी छोड़ गई.
ભુજની બારે તો ખાલી માંડવીમાં જ મજા આવે. ત્યાં શાંતિ, સારી હવા, પાણીમાં છપ છપ કરવાની પણ મજા આવે.
How much space does one take?
पब्लिक वॉशरूम्स तो मैं बहुत ज़्यादा अवॉइड करता हूँ अब. दिल्ली मेट्रो में मैं एक फीमेल वॉशरूम में गया एंड आई थिंक आई वाज हैविंग पीरियड्स, जो कि मुझे लगता है कि मैं मेल वॉशरूम में जाऊँ तो पैड कहाँ फेंकूँ. सो मैं गया एंड एज लाइक आई वाज एंटरिंग द वॉशरूम, this girl was coming out and she saw me and she shouted like as if she has seen a ghost, or I don't know, maybe she has seen a man who's, I don't know what was that thing that मेरे को देखा उसने और मैंने उसको देखा. वो निकल गई चिल्ला के, लेकिन मेरे से तो वहाँ से हिला नहीं गया. मैं for a moment I was stuck there. You have a question mark on you कि am I allowed here? Am I allowed here? मैं कहाँ जाऊँ? Where should I go? Like to this one or this one, or is there anything else that I can go to?
मुझे समझ नहीं आता मेरी पीनेस क्यों नहीं है. मैं बिना पीनेस के भी धार बनाकर सूसू करने की कोशिश करता. YouTube पर देखता हाउ टू ग्रो पीनेस. बड़े होने पर पीनेस तो नहीं आई, पर
when I used to like go for parties or like go to spaces, and I would go to a friend's house, dress up there, and then go to the place. But getting to a place when I'm very visibly spent, so if I'm wearing a sari or if I'm wearing extreme makeup, then that would be very nerve-wracking. I remember, and this was during the day only, I was coming from the metro. I took an auto from the metro station to my house. Very, very macho guy in Haryanvi tone was like, "ये नाखून में क्या लगा रखा है?" Like, could see my nails. So he was like, "What are you wearing? Like, what is this?" But thankfully, like, because I was entering a gated community, I just paid him and I left.
मेरा मन नहीं करता कि मैं बाहर एक कदम भी रखूं। कॉलेज जाना छोड़ दिया। मैं बिस्तर पर बैठा रहता, सोता रहता। रात को नींद नहीं आती तो सुबह तक चलता रहता कि बस शायद शरीर के थकने से दिमाग थक जाए।
So this experience is fucking annoying. I hate it. Like when I started college and I started to do this on a daily, it started to really weigh on me. Like I remember my neck hurting because I think by 2 weeks in, unknowingly, I had started to just look at the ground. Because if I looked straight and I walked straight, I would be able to see people's faces and stares and laughter and fright and everything else. So for me, in a general sense, moving around the city is a fuck all experience. So I carry a knife.
और फिर मैं यही सोचता रह जाता हूँ कि क्या एक्सेप्टेंस सिर्फ बंद कमरों तक के लिए है। पर हम लोग एक बार रात में घूम रहे थे, some close friends, and we went into this park. वहाँ पे एक फटी हुई फुटबॉल पड़ी थी, उससे हम लोग खेलने लग गए एंड I immediately went back to school. मुझे ऐसा लगा कि फाइनली मैं फ्री हूँ। मतलब इतनी छोटी सी चीज थी वो। एंड तभी पता नहीं किसी को तो झाड़ी में कोई जुगनू दिखा और आई न्यू दैट इफ यू स्नैप तो जुगनू बाहर आते हैं। तो ऑल ऑफ अस स्टार्टेड स्नैपिंग एंड क्लैपिंग और इतने सारे जुगनू बाहर आए। इट वाज मैजिकल। तो फिर कितनी जगह चाहिए एक जुगनू को चमकने के लिए?
How much space does one take? Mine. 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 Also mine. 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 Mine.
किधर वे वहाँ कहाँ लेके जा रहे कोने में?
मेरे बचपना ही जोगेश्वरी में गया, शादी भी हुई जोगेश्वरी में और मैं रहती भी हूँ। अब मुकाम मेरा पास्कल कॉलोनी है। तो वो जब बाबरी मस्जिद वहाँ शहीद हुई, कहाँ हुई? अयोध्या, यूपी में हुई। अब यहाँ तो सवाल नहीं आता है ना कुछ, मगर यहाँ माहौल का तनाव पैदा हुआ, इतना तनाव पैदा हुआ कि पूरा सन्नाटा।
मैं क्या बोलूँ, ज़्यादा मतलब वो है ना, ज़्यादा शहीद रोड और बांद्रा फ्लैट पे मतलब ज़्यादा हुआ था।
जो मतलब ऐसे जवान लड़के थे ना, उनको ना पुलिस पता नहीं क्यों पकड़ कर ले जा रही थी। तो उसमें मेरे एक पुप्पू के बेटे को भी पकड़ कर लेके गए थे। ऐसी मतलब जैसे पुलिस वाले आते थे ना, तो कोई भी कहीं भी घुस जाते थे
डर के मारे।
तो जैसे मेरे पुप्पू के घर में दूसरे लड़के लोग आके रुके थे और मेरे पुप्पू का बेटा दूसरों के घर में था, तो वो वहाँ से उनको पकड़ के लेके चले गए। अब पुप्पू ना फिर पीछे पीछे भागे भी कि छोड़ दो मेरे बेटे को, क्यों लेके जा रहे हैं, मगर लोग नहीं छोड़, लेकर गए।
घर में कभी कभी ऐसा मोस्टली हम लोग खाना खाने के बाद ऐसा थोड़ा बात करते हैं, लाइक पुरानी बात, मतलब ज़्यादा से पिछली बात बताई जाती है। वैसे तो ऐसी बात निकली थी एक दो बार कि लाइक ये हुआ था।
जैसे तो मुझे भी तो नहीं मालूम था ये शहीद रोड का नाम क्यों ऐसा पड़ा। मैं भी जब भी छोटी थी तो मैं भी अपने बच्चों को वैसे ही बताई कि वहाँ पर बहुत लोग शहीद हुए थे ना, इसलिए शायद वो रोड का नाम शहीद रोड हो गया। बेगुनाह थे, बस ऐसे घर से बाहर निकल रहे, कर्फ्यू लग गया है, मालूम नहीं, घर से बाहर निकल रहे तो उनको गोली मार दिए।
पहले यहाँ पे एक वाड़ी होती थी, बट वो अभी बची नहीं, लाइक मतलब पूरा एक चौल थी, तो उसके अंदर एक ग्राउंड था, तो वो अभी बचा नहीं। तो इसके लिए अभी वहाँ पे बिल्डिंग ये सब बन रही है, जो शादी थी उसके लिए बिल्डिंग बन रही है।
जैसे बच्चे लोग क्या बड़े भी खेलते थे यहाँ पे, बच्चों के साथ साथ बड़ों का भी रहता था। संडे के दिन बहुत ज़्यादा फुल रहता था समझो, जितनी जगह है इतने में ही खेल लेते बच्चे लोग। तो अब क्योंकि पतरे मारे तो जगह जिसकी थी उसकी थी, उन लोगों ने कब्जा कर लिए, तो उसमें बच्चों का हक ही नहीं है ना खेलने कूदने का।
लोग बोलते अम्मी निकलने क्यों नहीं देते, अम्मी गली में कहाँ खेलेंगे, किसी को दरवाजे पे बोल लगे ए कौन है रे, तो वो बर्दाश्त नहीं होता कि अपने बच्चे को कोई चिल्लाए। के बाद में होते होते बच्चों को आज दिलाते कि बेटा बिल्डिंग बनेगी ना तो अपना एक वो रहेगा, वो खेलने का ग्राउंड रहता ना बिल्डिंग के नीचे, तो अपन लोग वहाँ पे खेलेंगे। बस वो आज दिला दिला के आज बच्चे मेरे बड़े हो गए, लेकिन बिल्डिंग नहीं बनी। ये ज़्यादा लगान पिक्चर से निकला है, क्योंकि वो गांव में ये शुरू हुआ था, जो आमिर खान की मूवी थी। ये जब से बच्चों में जोश चालू हुआ है, वो चाहे इतने छोटे छोटे क्यों नहीं रहा। अभी बाजू में जो अफान बोल के बोली ना, उसके घर में से बॉल की टक 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 आवाज़ आती ही रहती है।
तो हर संडे बच्चे लोग क्रिकेट खेलते हैं, मतलब एरिया के बच्चे लोग आके जो भी है ऐसा टीम बना के बच्चे लोग खेलते अच्छे से क्रिकेट। मेरा भी तो लड़का खेलता है अदनान।
समीर 11 वर्सेस शक्ति 11।
अमान 11।
आप भी हम लोग का अमान और बाद हम लोग का हम लोग का रहेगा बाल घोड़ा रहेगा।
तो मैं देख रहा हूँ कि यहाँ पे 2 साल से हो रहा है शहीद रोड पे। जब भी मैं मतलब ऐसा देखता हूँ पास्कल प्रीमियर लीग तो मुझे अच्छा लगता है क्योंकि लाइक ऐसा स्लम में कोई मतलब ऐसा सपोर्ट कर रहा है या स्पोर्ट को और यूथ को कि उन लोग को मतलब एक खेलने का मौका मिले अच्छे पिच पे। तो जितना हो सके पूरा ट्राई करते हैं कि प्रोफेशनल रखें, एकदम ऑथेंटिक रखें। हम लोग के आजकल की जनरेशन को लाइक ऐसा नॉर्मल लगता है, मतलब कि लाइक कुछ हुआ ही नहीं था क्योंकि ऐसा रोड ऐसा है। बट अगर हम जिसको मतलब पूरी हिस्ट्री मालूम है, जिसको मतलब ये एरिया में मालूम है, तो लाइक जब जान के अगर वहाँ पे खेलेंगे तो लाइक उसका बहुत अलग इफेक्ट पड़ेगा।
जैसे ही वो याद आता है, वो दिन याद आते हैं जब वो गुजरे हुए दिन, उस टाइम पे मोताजी का आलम बना था, तो दिन का याद आने ही वाला है। हाँ, तो याद आएगा ही ना बेटा।
भाई होगी नहीं क्योंकि बॉल ही नहीं दिख रही। तो मतलब आपस में एरिया की टीम है, तो वो लोग क्या कह रहे हैं, मैच नहीं खेलेंगे, डायरेक्ट जो ट्रॉफी का फर्स्ट और सेकंड कर देंगे। तो आप ये टॉस उड़ाओ, जो जीतेगा वो फर्स्ट, जो हारा वो सेकंड। ओके
जैसा बिल्डिंग बन जाएंगे ना इधर पे, एरिया बदल जाएगा ना, तो नाम भी बदल जाएगा, खत्म ही हो जाएगा वह, तुम देखना। तो वक्त ये बोलते ना, जैसा वक्त चल रहा है तो वैसे वक्त के साथ इंसान को बदलना ही है।
To introduce our next set, we have Beena Paul. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us here today and she sent across a video. So we'll play that for you, introducing you to the next set.
Hi, I'm Beena Paul, and we welcome you to this session of Nagari Films that have been produced this year as part of Nagari's attempt to look at urban spaces through films. I have been a mentor for the last many years and very happy to present this section, which contains 3 films. We've called this section Transient Spaces, How the Collective Comes Together to Carve Their Space. The 3 films we have are Scent of Nocturnal Flowers, Diwar Nama, In Search of Humans. Now, when we think of public spaces, often we think of kind of unmoving, physical spaces that the public has access to, that public sometimes doesn't have access to, public is aware of, unaware of. In this section, we are looking at transient spaces, which is how the same space gets interpreted, used, and gets new meaning each time it is used. Scent of Nocturnal Flowers is about a small space outside a railway station, which is about to be taken over by the metro. The space is going to be taken over by the metro when the metro arrives in West Bengal, Calcutta. But the interesting thing is this small space at the side of the railway station has multiple uses. In the day, it is a auto rickshaw stand. At night, it becomes a flower market. And this sort of happens seamlessly. And the people, none of them own this place. Of course, the land belongs to the railway. And it is the precarity of this, not only the precarity of the space going to vanish at some point in the near future with so-called development, but also the fact that none of them have ownership or any rights over the space. So that is the scent of nocturnal flowers. And so that is actually a transient space. The other one is Divarnama, which is another interesting concept of the walls in a city being used for graffiti. You see that graffiti is not only about art, but it's about politics, it's about slogans, so you see that, and it just keeps getting wiped off each time, and people come and there is more art. So it's really interesting. The film looks at graffiti in the city. The third film is in fact also very interesting because one never looks at cyber or cyberspace as a kind of public space. So In Search of Humans basically examines how the social media, how the internet and all these spaces are claimed and inhabited by people who are, in fact, we don't know who they are, why they are there, etc. So these are the three films we're going to screen. And I think what we're trying to say also through these films is this notion of public space is an expanded notion. It's not only confined to physical and immoving kind of spaces and structures and construction, etc. But it's also the relationship of people to this space, the kind of ownership they feel, the kind of investment they feel in places that they inhabit. I hope you enjoy the films. It's been a lovely journey with Nagari for all of us, and I think these are important points that we are trying to make. Thank you.
প্রায় 30 ফুট 40 ফুট ডিপ করে প্রায় 6 ফুট চওড়া বেস করে নিচে পাইলিং করেছিল। পাইলিং করে সব খাঁচা করে তোমার ঢালাই করা আছে। ওই অবধি এখনো কোনো খবর নেই। এখানে তো মেট্রো আসবে না এই সাইডে, আসবে হয়তো ওই সাইডটা, হয়তো এখন যেটা শুনছি হলেও হতে পারে।
এটা কি কেন বাপের জায়গা? তাদের জায়গায় তারা করতেছে। এসব দোকানগুলো তো রেলের জায়গায়, আমি ভাড়া দিই, 10,000 টাকা ভাড়া, ইলেকট্রিক বিল নিয়ে আমার মাসে 11,000 টাকা। জায়গা কোনোদিন কারো হয় না, এটা জানো না তাই। কত রে ভাইডি?
না না, পয়সা দেবে দেবে না, কাজ হবে তার কোথায় বসবো, করে দেবে একদিকে বসবো যদি যায়। ও সাইড দিয়ে নাকি হবে, ওই অফিস টফিস সব এদিকে আসবে নাকি, তাই তো শুনেছি। এখন কোন দিকে হবে, সেই দিকেই হবে। ওই দিকে হলেও বসতে পারবো না, এইদিকে হলেও বসতে পারবো, তাহলে আমরা যেখানে থাকি কলোনিতে ওখানেও থাকতে পারবো না। অনেক ঘর, 500 ফ্যামিলি আছে। কোনো বাজার একবার চালু হলে সেটা তো বন্ধ হয় না, এখানে না অবশ্যই অন্য এক জায়গায় আমাদের জায়গা করে দেবে, এই বিশ্বাস নিয়ে তো সবাই বাঁচে, দেবে কি দেবে না ঠিক আছে পরে। এই জায়গাটা আমার, এই অটোওয়ালা, ভ্যান চালানোর লোকের, ফুলওয়ালা, যত সময় আমরা থাকি তত সময় আমাদের।
কি করে আর হলো আমার জায়গাটা বলো, এটা রেলের জায়গা তো।
ওই আমি এখন রয়েছি বসে, এখন আমার একটু পরে চলে যাবো, বলবে রেলের জায়গা।
For years I walked past these walls. The drawings, the words, the marks of the strangers, they fascinated me. Sometimes I paused, yet I never thought too deeply about them.
We were painting this Chorney Road station. We actually saw like people could slow down from that lane. They would look ki haan kya ban raha hai. They'll stand for 2 minutes and they'll see it. It definitely has its way of making people engage with it. Like walls do have that power.
जब मैं पेंट कर रहा था अनारकली का म्यूरल, सो उस टाइम पे एक लेडी आई, वो थोड़ी देर रुकी, देखने लगी। वो उस पेंटिंग को देख के मेरे को बोलती है कि जो मैंने अपने शोहर के साथ फर्स्ट फिल्म देखी थी ना सिनेमा हॉल में, दैट वाज अनारकली।
Khar mein there's this danda area. There's this lady, she sat there for 30 years selling the vegetables. And there was this one artist, he scaled up her picture like on a whole 30 feet wall with her face. Like, you know, you own that place.
As the stories of these walls kept unfolding, I realized there was much more here than I had ever imagined.
Tyler is a graffiti artist who people are now calling Mumbai's Banksy.
His identity remains anonymous. Now this mask-clad crusader, one of India's most famous artists, wields his spray paint cans to paint his revolutionary art on what many call unconventional canvases.
Tyler, street art is removed after a point of time because it's not acceptable to the local authorities. There's so many more. You have people in Arunachal Pradesh who were arrested, people in Delhi who were arrested. Any kind of revolutionary art, if it's going to lead to arrests, then you need to reconsider the intensity of risk you want to put into your art.
I was reminded that the oldest art form we know also lived on the walls, the cave paintings. It struck me then that this wall of expression never vanished. It only kept changing its face.
Look here, everybody has their own way of expressing themselves. अभी जो बांद्रा चैपल रोड देखने बहुत सारे लोग आते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ दोज आर्ट वर्क्स। स्प्रे से नाम लिख दिया, एक जो वैंडलिज्म करके चला जाएगा, उसके लिए तो कोई नहीं आएगा ना।
A lot of people getting into the scene are mainly interested in the commercial aspect of it. You can't blame the corporate. They look for these innovative mediums of advertising.
Each time I returned to a wall I had filmed, I found it changed. Plastered with posters, painted over, or wiped clean. It was as if the city was erasing its own memory, right before my eyes.
Nothing is permanent in this world, yeah. So artwork है वो छोटी सी चीज़ है.
As an artist also, I think it's like, you know, there's always a chance to make something new out of it. So अगर वो 2 साल में paint चला भी गया तो ठीक है, third year I'll go and paint something new entirely. We don't have to go and make new canvases, we have canvases. We can always make new things, and I think that's a good hope also to hold on to.
By the time I finished filming, I kept wondering, when everyone has the power to speak, must everything be said?
Generation change, next generation. And my number 1, Pakistan, Bangladesh, China. একসাথে অ্যাটাক করবে মোকাবিলা করার জন্য সব আছে। ফাঁকা জায়গা দেখে যাও, এটা হয় পাকিস্তান একটা বলেই ছবি। এমন ছবি তুলবো নেগেটিভ পাবে না, চুপ।
স্বর্গীয় কাশ্মীর উপত্যকা হঠাৎই মৃত্যু পুরীতে পরিণত হলো। গতকাল দুপুরের আগে পর্যন্ত পর্যটকরা সেখানে ঘুরে বেড়াচ্ছিলেন, আনন্দ করছিলেন, কিন্তু 2টোর সময় হঠাৎই জঙ্গি হানা, অতর্কিত সেই জঙ্গি হানা, যেখানে একেবারে নির্বিচারে জঙ্গিরা গুলি চালালো। আর সেই গুলি চালনার ঘটনায় 26 জনের প্রাণ গেল, যার মধ্যে এ রাজ্যের 3 জন রয়েছেন।
আম্বালা ও হাসিমারা বায়ুসেনা ঘাঁটিতে মোতায়েন ভারতীয় বায়ুসেনার যুদ্ধ বিমানের মহড়া। শুক্রবারই তুখোড় যুদ্ধ বিমান রাফাল ও সুখোই 30 MKI স্কোয়াড্রন নিয়ে সমতল থেকে পার্বত্য অঞ্চলে আক্রমণের অনুশীলন করেছে ভারতীয় বায়ুসেনা।
এটা যুদ্ধের দিকে যাচ্ছে, কোনো সার্জিক্যাল স্ট্রাইক নয়, সেটার অনেকগুলো ইঙ্গিত আছে।
ऐसा लगता है कि पाकिस्तान का कोई इलाका और कोई शहर बचा नहीं है।
Misinformation is being broadcast across most Indian news channels. Misinformation is being spread in Pakistan too.
ভারতের খাবেন আর ভারতের থালাতে ফুটো করবেন, বেরিয়ে যান, বেরিয়ে যান। যদি আপনার মনে হয় যে আপনি সেকুলার, ভারতের সংবিধান থেকে সেকুলারিজম ওয়ার্ডটাকে সরিয়ে দিতে হবে। অনেক হয়েছে।
করছেন স্যার? ছেড়ে দাও স্যার, স্টুডেন্ট আছে স্যার, ছেড়ে দাও স্যার। স্যার আপনি হ্যারাস করছেন স্যার।
কলকাতা হাইকোর্টের রায় বহাল রাখলো সর্বোচ্চ আদালত। এসএসসির 2016 পুরো প্যানেল বাতিল, অর্থাৎ 25,752 জনের চাকরি বাতিল হয়ে গেল সর্বোচ্চ আদালতের রায়ে। নিয়োগে ব্যাপক পরিমাণে দুর্নীতি হয়েছে, রায় ঘোষণা করতে গিয়ে জানালেন সুপ্রিম কোর্টের মহামান্য প্রধান বিচারপতি।
ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গল জুনিয়র ডক্টর ফ্রন্টের পক্ষ থেকে আজকে যে অন্যায় অভিযান এদের ওপর হচ্ছে, তাদের পাশে থাকা আমাদের নাগরিক কর্তব্য। কেন শিক্ষক শিক্ষিকাদের এত রাতে রাস্তায় কাটাতে হচ্ছে? তাদের জলের ব্যবস্থা নেই, তাদের খাবারের ব্যবস্থা নেই, বাথরুমের ব্যবস্থা নেই। আমরা জানি না, আমরা পাশে
ছায়ার মতো কিছু খুঁজছি, খোঁজার মতো কি ঠিক বলতে পারবো না। চারিদিকের এত বিরক্তিতে বিরক্তিও বিরক্তিকর। বিপুল কান্নার সব ছবি জড়ো করে দেখানো হচ্ছে ভয়, ভয়ের আলপনার উপরেই ড্রোন, কল্পনার নিচে কষ্টের মিউজিক। এত মুখ হারিয়েও ফেস ডিটেকশনের ইচ্ছে কমে না। ছোট ছোট এত মুখ ছিটিয়ে ক্ষত, তাকাতে পারি না, তাকাতে পারি না আমার ছোট্ট চৌকো ফোন। কোন মুখের গভীরতা নিয়ে আমি আর ভাবি না, কোন শরীরের কি রং। আসলে খবরের মতো ভয়ঙ্কর আর কিছুই নেই। কাউকে খবর চেয়েও পাঠাই না। সবার মতো আমিও হাঁ করে থাকি ভয় সুখবরের। লাল এই বিরাট কৃষ্ণচূড়ায় ছোট্ট দুটো পাখির ছানাই এই মুহূর্তের একমাত্র ভালো খবর।
স্কুল থেকে কলেজ থেকে পরীক্ষা দিয়ে বাড়ি ফিরছো, রুলিং পার্টির দাদারা তুলে নিয়ে এসে রেপ করে দিল। আরে না না, পশ্চিমবঙ্গে ধর্ষণটা তো খুব ছোট্ট একটা ঘটনা, কিন্তু তারপরে তোমার গোটা শরীরটাকে দুটো পা ধরে চিড়ে আড়াআড়ি ভাগ করে দিল। এক এক করে ওরা আমার ঠোঁট, আমার বুক, আমার জনি ছিপড়ে করে খেলো। প্রথমে একজন, তারপরে দুজন, তারপরে তিনজন, একে একে 12 জন আমার গোটা শরীরটাকে চিপড়ে করে খেলো।
আপনারা পাশে থাকবেন আমার। যতদিন এই পৃথিবী দুর্নীতি মুক্ত না করতে পারবো, যতদিন এই আমার অন্য অন্য সমস্ত মেয়েদের সুরক্ষিত না রাখতে পারবো, ততদিন আমি এই ময়দান ছেড়ে যাব না।
To introduce our final set for the evening, we were to have our mentor Jabeen Merchant join us. Unfortunately, with the flight delays, she's just landed in Goa, but she sent across her text So I invite Ashmita Gupta, our senior fellow, to read it out to us.
Hello. Unfortunately, Jabin's flight was delayed, so she can only join us later in the evening. I'll just quickly introduce the next set of screening. The curated set of 4 films here look at the various layers of how we use the space. Where the last set looked at ownership, here we look at use. Public spaces in India carry many layers, evolving through everyday negotiations between people, scale, and use. When dealing with informality, it is essential to acknowledge the informal economy as a people's spontaneous and creative response to the state's inability to satisfy the basic needs of impoverished masses. The 4 films in this set individually look at the layered use of our public spaces. First film, Manviyam, conveys the inclusive nature of a street by showing us a street in Thiruvananthapuram, which was state funded, by showing us the interactions of various communities. The second film, Hissa, connects space to everyday life through its story of displacement and ownership. Mahadwar, the Great Corridor, will highlight the struggle for livelihood and rehabilitation amidst the increasing redevelopment of the city, Kolhapur. The last film in the set, Through the Dappled Light, will highlight the connection between nature and spaces by examining trees and how we use them. Together, these themes show that public space is never singular in purpose. It is a dynamic shared terrain shaped by overlapping needs, rights, and forms of occupation. By this, we can start the screening. Thank you.
താനന്നം താനാനം താനാനം തന്നാനോ താനന്നം താനാനം താനാനം തന്നാനോ താനന്നം താനാനം താനാനം തന്നാനോ താനന്നം താനാനം താനാനം
എൻ്റെ പേര് ജോബുലാൽ റെജി. മാനവീയത്ത് കരോൾസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു ഷോപ്പുണ്ട്. അവിടെ ജ്യൂസറായിട്ടാണ് ജോലി ചെയ്തത്. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ മാനവീയം ഞാനും തമ്മിൽ വലിയ ബന്ധമുണ്ട്. എനിക്കിന്നൊരു ഫാൻറ്റസി വേൾഡായിരുന്നു സത്യം പറഞ്ഞാൽ തിരുവനന്തപുരം. എൻ്റെ ട്രിവാൻഡ്രത്തെ എല്ലാ സൗഹൃദങ്ങളും മാനവീയത്തിൽ തന്നെയാണുള്ളത്. ഞാൻ ആ മാനവീയത്തിൽ കയറുമ്പോഴേ ആദ്യമേ അതിൻ്റെ അങ്ങേ അറ്റം അവിടെ ഒരു സർക്കിളുണ്ട്. അവിടെ അങ്ങേ അറ്റത്തുനിന്ന് ചെറിയ നേരിയ പാട്ട് വരുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഞാനത് ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചു. ഞാൻ അവിടെ ചെല്ലുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കാണ് മനസ്സിലാകുന്നത് സംഗീതം ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നവരും സംഗീതം അറിയാവുന്നവരും അവിടെ ഒത്തുകൂടും. ഇന്നത് കലയ്ക്ക് ഏറ്റവും പ്രാധാന്യം കൊടുക്കുന്ന ഒരു സാംസ്കാരിക വേദിയായിട്ടാണ് മാനവീയം മാറിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. എൻ്റെ ലേബിൾ മാറ്റി ഞാനൊരു ഗായകൻ എന്നുള്ള ലേബിൾ തരുന്നത് ആദ്യമായിട്ട് മാനവീയമാണ്. മാനവീയം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു സ്ഥലം, അത് വർഷങ്ങൾക്ക് മുൻപ് ഞാൻ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. കുറേ ഇരുണ്ട വെളിച്ചവും 2 സൈഡും ഇരുട്ടിനുള്ളിൽ നേരിയ വെട്ടം മാത്രം നിലനിന്നൊരു സ്ഥലമായിരുന്നു അന്ന് മാനവീയം.
ഒരു ഫാമിലി ഓറിയൻറ്റഡ് പ്ലേസായിട്ട് മാറി ഇപ്പം മാനവീയം. ഫാമിലിയിലോട്ട് മാറിയപ്പോൾ അവർക്ക് ആ ഒരു ക്യൂരിയോസിറ്റിയും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവരുടെ ഒരു ജഡ്ജ്മെൻ്റൽ തോട്ട്സും എല്ലാം നമുക്ക് അത് ഭയങ്കര അൺകംഫർട്ടബിളാണ്. അത് ഗോൺ ത്രൂ ചെയ്യാൻ ആഗ്രഹമില്ലാത്ത ആൾക്കാരായിരിക്കും മോസ്റ്റ്ലി അവിടെ വരാത്ത. പക്ഷെ അത് വന്നുകൊണ്ടിരുന്ന ഒരു കാലഘട്ടവും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഞാനൊരു നോൺ ബൈനറി ലെസ്ബിയനാണ്. സൊസൈറ്റിക്ക് അതിനെപ്പറ്റി വലിയ അറിവില്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് എന്നും വുമൺ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ജെൻഡറിൽ പെട്ട് കിടക്കുന്ന ഒരു പേഴ്സണാണ് ഞാൻ. പണ്ടത്തെ മാനവീയം എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എല്ലാ ആർട്ടിസ്റ്റുകളും ഒരുമിച്ച് വന്നു നിന്ന് ഒരുമിച്ച് ചായ കുടിച്ച് ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു ഏരിയ ആയിരുന്നു മാനവീയം. പണ്ട് തൊട്ടേ പല പ്രോബ്ലംസ് അവിടെ നടന്നിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളത് സത്യമാണ്. നമ്മൾ മറച്ചു വെച്ച് പറയേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. പോലീസിങ് വേണം, പക്ഷേ തെളിവുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ കൊണ്ടുപോകാവൂ. എനിക്കെന്നെ പേഴ്സണലി അങ്ങനെ അനുഭവമുണ്ട്. ഞങ്ങൾ ജാം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്ന സമയത്ത് എൻ്റെ ഒരു സുഹൃത്തിന് ഒരു അസംഷൻ്റെ പേരിൽ കഞ്ചാവാണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അയാളുടെ ലുക്കിൻ്റെ പേരിൽ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അയാളുടെ കളറിൻ്റെ പേരിൽ ഒക്കെ പിടിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പോകുന്നത് ദാറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് ഫെയർ.
മാനവീയം എപ്പോഴും ഒരു കണക്ഷനാണ്, എപ്പോഴും കണക്ട് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കും ആൾക്കാരെ. ഈ മാനവീയം ആർക്കും ആരെയും അപരിചിതമായി വെക്കാറില്ല. എന്നും പുതിയ പുതിയ ബന്ധങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കിക്കൊണ്ടേയിരിക്കുന്നു. ഇവിടെ ഇന്ന് 100,000 ആൾക്കാർ അവിടെ വന്ന് പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇവരെല്ലാം അവിടെ പെൺകുട്ടികളാകട്ടെ ആൺകുട്ടികളാകട്ടെ വലിയവരാകട്ടെ ചെറിയവരാകട്ടെ മൂത്തതാകട്ടെ ഇളയാകട്ടെ അങ്ങനെ ഒന്നും വ്യത്യാസമില്ല. നമ്മളുടെ ഈ ഗവൺമെൻറ് ആയാൽ പോലും ഒരുപാട് നല്ല തീരുമാനങ്ങളിലൂടെയാണ് ഇന്ന് ഈ കാണുന്ന മാനവീയ വിധിയിലേക്ക് എത്തിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. 24/7 കാര്യക്ഷമമായിട്ട് പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്ന ഒരു കൂട്ടം പോലീസുകാരുടെ സാന്നിധ്യം നമ്മുടെ മാനവീയത്തിൽ എപ്പോഴും ഉണ്ട്.
ആ സമയത്തൊക്കെ ഞാൻ വളരെ ക്ലോസറ്റ് ആയിട്ടെന്നുള്ളൊരു പേഴ്സണായിരുന്നു. പുറത്ത് വരാൻ പേടിയുള്ളൊരു പേഴ്സണായിരുന്നു. ഐ മെറ്റ് എ ലോട്ട് ഓഫ് ഫ്രണ്ട്സ്, എന്നെപ്പോലെ തന്നെ ചിന്തിക്കുന്ന, എന്നെപ്പോലെ ഒരുപാട് ഇമോഷൻസ് ഫീൽ ചെയ്യുന്ന ആൾക്കാരെ മീറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ സെൽഫിനെ റിയലൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതും ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നു. സോ അവിടെ നിന്ന് ഇവിടം വരെയുള്ള എൻ്റെ ജേർണിയിൽ ഒരു പ്രധാന പാർട്ടാണ് മാനവീയം.
എനിക്ക് ഒരു പ്രണയമുണ്ട്. ഈ പ്രണയം എനിക്ക് മാനവീയത്തിൽ നിന്ന് തന്നെ ലഭിച്ചതാണ്. ഞാനവിടെ സ്ഥിരമായിട്ട് വന്ന് എൻ്റെ പാട്ട് കേട്ട് ഞങ്ങൾ സംസാരിച്ച് അങ്ങനെ വന്നതാണ്. അതും ഇങ്ങോട്ട് വരുന്നതാണ്. എനിക്കിപ്പോൾ കൂടെ പറക്കാത്ത ഒരുപാട് ചേട്ടന്മാരുണ്ട്, അനിയന്മാരുണ്ട്, അനിയത്തിമാരുണ്ട്. ഇതെല്ലാം എനിക്ക് മാനവീയം തന്നതാണ്. നിങ്ങളുടെ ചിന്ത അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങളുടെ പ്രവൃത്തിയാണ് ഇവിടെ ചീത്തയാക്കുന്നത്. നിങ്ങൾ നല്ലവരായിട്ടാണ് വരുന്നതെങ്കിൽ മാനവീയം എന്നും നിങ്ങളുടെ കൂടെ ഉണ്ടാകും. ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ മാനവീയത്തിന് എന്തെങ്കിലും പേര് കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതൊരിക്കലും ഇവിടെ വരുന്ന സ്ഥിരമായിട്ട് നിന്ന ആൾക്കാരല്ല. പുതുതായിട്ട് പുറത്തുനിന്ന് വരുന്ന ആൾക്കാരാണ് ഈ പറയുന്ന ലഹരി ആയാലും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അക്രമമായാലും കൊണ്ടുവരുന്നത്. മാനവീയം അറിയാവുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മാനവീയത്ത് വരുന്ന സ്ഥിരമായി വന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരാളും അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യില്ല. ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് കുറച്ച് പേർക്ക് മാനവീയം ഞങ്ങളുടെ വീട് തന്നെയാണ്, ഞങ്ങളുടെ സെക്കൻഡ് ഹോമാണ് മാനവീയം.
बचपन में जब दादाजी मुझे साइकिल पे दरिया किनारे लेके जाते तो मैं उन्हें कस के पकड़ लेती। उनके कुर्ते पे फंसे बाल मेरे गालों में चुभते रहते। दरिया किनारे बैठे मैं गोला खाती और वो मुझे कहानी सुनाते। मछलियों से भरे एक बड़े से तालाब की कहानी।
उन्नीस 1993 में पहली बार बॉम्बे आया था। पिताजी भी नाई का काम करते थे। कुलाबा से धोबी तालाब अपनी पेटी लेके दुकान चलाते थे। हमारी तो वैसे दुकान तो है नहीं। इसमें पान की गाती थी 2x3 का। उसी में आईना वाईना लगा के सेट कर दिया। अरे इतनी सी जगह का मैं 7,000 का भाड़ा दे रहा हूँ। कुर्सी तो फिर भी सड़क में रखना पड़ता है। कभी भी एमसी आते हैं तो कुर्सी उठा के भागना पड़ता है।
ये जो दुकान है हमारे ही गांव का एक बूढ़ा भाड़े पे लिया था। वो मर गया तो मेरे को दुकान मिल गई है। वैसे तो सब ठीक है लेकिन थोड़ा बहुत तकलीफ है। खाना नहीं खा पा बूढ़े बहुत मगनमारी करते हैं। 20-30 रुपया मांगो, कभी देते नहीं। पर क्या करें, मेरा धर्म यही है। दाढ़ी बाल बनाने वाले हैं।
एक साल बरसात रूठ गई। तालाब का पानी सूखने लगा और मछलियां तड़पने लगी। तभी किनारे पर मेंढकों की एक टोली आई। मछलियों के सरदार ने अपनी तकलीफ बताई तो मेंढकों ने सुरंग खोदने की तरकीब लगाई। तपते सूरज के नीचे मेंढक लगातार खोदते रहे और अचानक एक आवाज़ आई। नहर जुड़ चुका था। नदी का पानी तालाब में बहने लगा। तालाब भरने लगा। मछली और मेंढक एक साथ रहने लगे।
बेटी बेटी पालन में सीख रही है। उसको भी बराबर अभी आता नहीं है, लेकिन अब माँ से आज्ञा लिया है। थोड़ा बहुत करते रहेगा तो काल को कुछ उसको परेशानी तो नहीं रहेगी। कुछ तो मेहनत करती है।
जब भी मैं बॉम्बे आया था इन्हीं गलियों में इतना दंगे फसाद होते थे। खोपड़े के तेल से खाना बनाता था। पर तब पिताजी सड़क पे काम करते थे तो उनको कोई हटाता नहीं था। अभी तो समय बदल गया है। हर जगह टावर उठ रहे हैं और हम जैसे लोगों को पहले ही भगा देंगे।
शुरू से बच्चा सब पहचानता है धोबी तालाब में। अभी वही बच्चे बड़े हो गए, वही बच्चे हमको धमकी देने लगे हैं। एक दफ़े बोला घर नहीं जाऊंगा तो उन लोग आके झापड़ मेरे जड़ दिया कि क्यों नहीं आज चलेगा मेरे घर पे। काम पर ना हो तो मन भी नहीं लगता है। सब आस-पास दोस्त लोग हैं। मेरा पूरा उम्र यहीं गुजर गया है। भयंदर में जहाँ रहता हूँ वहाँ मेरे कोई नहीं जानता है।
हमारी फैमिली तो गांव में रहती है। अपने बेटों को लेकर हमको चिंता बनी रहती है। हम नहीं चाहते कि हमारा लड़का ही धंधे में आए। अपनी जिंदगी तो भीड़ में धक्का खा के निकल गई, लेकिन वो कैसे संभालेगा? बेटे को अगर कहीं जम गया तो मैं बॉम्बे छोड़ दूंगा।
आबादी बढ़ी तो जगह कम हुई और तनाव बढ़ा। मछलियों ने कहा, ये तालाब हमारा है, हम जहाँ से आए थे वहाँ वापस चले जाओ। मेंढकों ने अपनी मेहनत याद दिलाई, बराबरी का हिस्सा मांगा, पर आखिर उन्हें जाना ही पड़ा। चलते हुए एक नन्हे मेंढक ने पूछा, हम हैं कहाँ के? पिता ने कहा, हम मेंढक ना सिर्फ पानी के, ना सिर्फ ज़मीन के, हमारा दावा सारी दुनिया पर है, हम कोई और तालाब ढूंढ लेंगे। दादाजी ये कहानी बार बार क्यों सुनाते पता नहीं। बचपन में मुझे मछलियों पर गुस्सा आता, बड़ी हुई तो एक ख्याल उस गुस्से को ठंडा कर दिया। अगला सूखा जब आया होगा तो उस दफ़ा मेंढक वहाँ नहीं होंगे।
महालक्ष्मी परिसर हे कोल्हापूरचं नाक आहे आणि पंढरपूरमध्ये जे काय चाललंय त्याचप्रमाणे इकडं होणार आहे.
मी पहिल्यांदा विमानात बसत होते तेव्हा तू म्हणाला होतास मला, तू प्रार्थना करशील की माझ्या आजूबाजूला किरकिरी मुलं नसावी आणि मला सुंदर ढग दिसावे. आकाशात ढग नव्हते, पण काचबंद क्षितिज स्पष्ट दिसत होतं. खाली बघितल्यावर कळालं, आपली जमीन एखाद्या स्त्रीच्या चेहऱ्यावर उठलेल्या मुरुमांसारखी दिसते. तू एक मुरुम, मी एक मुरुम, मुरुमांची कॉलनी. याचं सपाटीकरण करणं सरकारी खिशाला रास्त वाटत असावं. विकास आणि वाढ एकूण एकच असते काय? सपाटीकरण, विस्तार, मोडलेलं गावठाण, फोडलेली मुर्म.
आज पैसा हा थोड्या काळाकरता असणार आहे, पण तुम्ही जागा जर नाही दिली तर कायमस्वरूपी आम्ही विस्थापितच होणार आहे.
ओटी 50 रुपये. आई अशी टाकत नाही हो आईच्या पोरासनी. आईच्या भोवतीने किती आई विकून खाणारे पोट भरून.
महालक्ष्मीचा गणपती म्हणजे जो मानाचा आहे तो दारातून बाहेर पडला की आमच्या दारात 1-2 मिनटं थांबतो आणि त्याच्यानंतरचा जो असा म्हणजे डोळ्यातून अश्रू थांबतच नाही इतका तो म्हणजे प्रत्येकच गोष्ट आमच्या इथली आहे ती जिव्हाळ्याची.
₹1450 कोटी रुपयाचा आता ही विकास आराखडा आहे. आता एक वर्षभरामध्ये त्याची सुरुवात सुद्धा होईल. सारखं तेच करत बसणार आहे का? त्यामुळं पुढच्या 50 वर्षाचा विचार करून हा विकास आराखडा तयार केलेला आहे आणि ती योग्य आहे. भावनेवरती देश चालत नाही. आपला देश कागदपत्रावरती वस्तुस्थितीवरती चालतो.
म्हणून तर विरोध चाललाय ना. लोक तयार नाही आहेत आणि हे पैसे खाण्यासाठी चाललंय हे लोकांना माहिती आहे. 50 वर्षाचा विचार केला असेल पण यातला फायदा ठराविक लोकांचाच होणार. लोकांना पूर्वीच्या धार्मिकतेच्या ह्याच्याखाली न्यायच चाललं. मला उद्या पैसे द्या, चिल्लर नाही. तुम्हाला आता काय नाही चिल्लर.
रस्ता कशाने बनतो? खडी, वाळू, सिमेंटने की माणसांनी? हा रस्ता आवाजांनी बनलाय. पिढीजात फेरीवाल्या गाड्यांनाही चाकं असतात. त्यांना कुठेही उचकटून टाकता येतं. दरवर्षी रस्त्यांची उंची वाढते आणि आमच्या आठवणींचं गढूळ पाणी पावळणी होऊन गटार जमवतं.
मग सगळ्यांचा पाठिंबा असताना सामुदायिक चर्चा करून लोकांना सामावून का घेत नाही सरकार? मग इथंच काळं-बेरं दिसते. लोक नको आहेत. आम्ही म्हणेल तसं चालणार. माझा ह्या गोष्टी विश्वास आहे. ॲक्शन ज्या दिवशी येईल तर ते रस्त्यावर प्रतिकार करते. JCB जाऊन पाडायला लागलाय. JCB पुढं वरते. आमच्या पुनर्वसनात सांगा म्हणते. आमच्या जगायचं काय सांगा म्हणते.
जागा काढून येणार तुम्ही विकासाला आमचा विरोध नाही सगळं ठीक आहे पण आम्हाला काय देणार त्या बदल्यात? तर मुळात दंड वाढायच्या आधी आपलं दंड बुडवलं तर हे बरोबर नाही. दंड बुडवलं तर भारतीय संविधानामध्ये व्यापार मुक्त आहे. रेट आणि मार्केट रेट बरेच तफावत आहे. हे नुसतं देतो करतो असं नको आहे. आपल्याला द्यायचे तर ते फिक्स पाहिजे आणि लेखी पाहिजे. विकास आराखड्याला विरोध नाही पण आमचं योग्य पुनर्वसन याच ठिकाणी झालं पाहिजे. याच जागेवर पाहिजे.
सगळ्या प्रॉपर्टीचा मालक सरकार आहे.
मधली 1-2 जण नाहीच म्हणजे देणार तर
जबरदस्तीने घेणार. काय करणार आहे? काय करतात?
लोकांची भयग्रस्ता ही गैरव्यवहार करणाऱ्यांना विश्वासात वाटते. जरा काय ही काय करतात, ही काय करतात असं त्यांचा समज आहे.
आणि आई सोडून लांब पण कुठं टाकणार नाही आम्हाला. नाही म्हणलं तर 500च्या वर आहेत. सगळ्या लेडीजच आहेत. या ओटी घ्या 50 रुपये. ओटी घ्या 50 रुपये. त्या ओटी 50 रुपये. ओटी 50 रुपये.
नव्या मंदिराच्या प्रदर्शन हॉलमध्ये फिरताना कोण्या मुलाच्या पायाशी शाळेच्या खिडकीतून सोडलेलं एखादं जुनाट कागदी विमान उडत येईल का? एम्पी थिएटरमधून लाईट शो बघताना लोकांना घुंगराचा भास होईल का? या रस्त्याचा आवाज माझ्या कानात बसला.
They say Chandigarh was built with a pencil and a scale. Each inch accounted for, each sector defined. Each brick that was ever placed kept the sun in mind. From the first seed to the last leaf, even the trees were planted by design. But I've never known a tree to follow rules.
मेरे आने से पहले के दरख्त हैं ये, ऐसे 20 साल से आया यहाँ और सामने पौड़ी के नीचे और जहाँ जंगला लगा। पहले उन्होंने अपना सरबा किया, गिनती की है पूरे चंडीगढ़ की भी कितना बंदा है यहाँ बेरोजगार या दरख्तों थले। फिर कंपनी ने फ़ोटो खींचियाँ, बंदे गिने, फिर जाकर लाइसेंस इशू करने के। यहाँ का कागज पत्र सरकार ने दिए तो बाहर बैठने के लिए अनुमति कि उत्थे नहीं बहना, उत्थे बहना। मतलब चॉइस अपनी है कि यहाँ बैठना।
पेड़ से दो चार कहीं आम के, नीम के, पीपल के बहुत कम होते थे। अन्ना लीची बढ़िया होता, मीठा होता। आजकल पहले लोग इसको तोड़ के बेचते थे 10 रुपये पाव, क्योंकि वो जनानियाँ हैं कई जो स्कूल के पास 10-20 किलो ले गई तो 4 दिन तक बेचती रहती, उनकी दिहाड़ी बन जाती थी। कोई केंद्रीय मंत्री अगर आया तो भैया उठा देते हैं वो, फिर कहते हैं ये सब उतार दो। तो बहुत परेशानी होती, मतलब क्या करें, हटाना पड़ता है, फिर हटा देते हैं हम। तो क्या करें, एक दिन 2 दिन बंद रहता है। और नगर निगम तो किराया छोड़ती नहीं।
As a schoolgirl, I ate lunch under a mango tree, the place we always gathered. House meetings, tiffins, shared aloo prathas, Maggie and giggles, all under its shade. That tree knew us better than our teachers did.
माँ की छत छाया क्या कहती है, माँ क्या होती है, वो हमारा पेड़ है, उसकी छत छाया, उसके आंचल में हम लोग पला हो, क्योंकि यही से तो हमें रोटी मिल रही है। आता हूँ पहले माथा टेकता हूँ, जहाँ रोटी मिल रहा बच्चे उसका गुण तो गाना चाहिए। और आज तक जो हमने मन में सोचा वो पूरा हो रहा। दरख्त के नीचे जिंदगी हमारा कट रहा और कट जाएगा, इससे बढ़कर क्या है।
In university, we had a banyan tree. We called ourselves the Panchayat, gathered around like old souls in a young body. We drank, laughed, made plans we forgot. But the tree remembered. And then there was the memento mori tree. That's where I lay beside someone I'd come to love. We looked up at the sky, at branches swaying like dancers as footballs missed our heads and hearts landed softly. And now, the city glides by. As trees shimmer on my car window, I know mine is not the only story they hold.
यहाँ पे ऑर्केस्ट्रा हो रहा है, यहाँ तो वीडियो वायरल हो रहा है, यहाँ ऑर्केस्ट्रा थोड़ी चल रहा है यहाँ। चालू है। गंगा किनारे मोरा गाँव हो, घर पहुँचा दे देवी मैया, घर पहुँचा दे मैया, माई से मिला दे। गंगा किनारे मोरा गाँव हो, घर पहुँचा दे देवी मैया, घर पहुँचा दे मैया, माई से मिला दे। गंगा किनारे मोरा गाँव हो, घर पहुँचा दे देवी मैया।
Before we proceed to the awards, we have a very quick discussion with two of our jury members. We have Ram Rahman here with us and Sanjeev Shah, and our mentors Deepa. So I request them to please join me on stage. So I know we're running really short on time, so I'm going to keep all introductions quick and just one question per person. So to begin with, I'm Tanvi Karya. I'm the Assistant Director of the Charles Correa Foundation. I've been associated with the foundation for the past 2 years across various initiatives. And Nagari to me personally is an initiative that's really one that I've enjoyed working on a lot. We've explored and engaged with various issues across the urban environment, engaged in dialogues with various audiences, and really had the opportunity to grow the Nagari Film Archive and diversify the kinds of outreach and engagement activities that we've had to do over the past 6 years. But apart from me, we have on the panel with us Ram Rahman, Sanjeev Shah, and Deepa Dhanraj. One of the things that I believe connects them is their shared way of working. They're very deeply attentive to social realities and the everyday public life. For each of them, the visual medium becomes a way to enter and extend ongoing conversations around India's urban realities. Ram is a man who wears many hats. He's photographed architecture professionally. He's a graphic designer for various publications, has curated and designed exhibitions, has lectured on various aspects of contemporary Indian photography, and is also one of the founding members of the Safdar Hashmi Memorial Trust in New Delhi. Sanjeev is someone who we've been working very, very, very closely with for Nagari. In fact, he's been someone who's been associated with Nagari since its inception, helping structure and ideate the Nagari Short Film Competition. He is a film editor, producer, and filmmaker engaged largely with documentaries dealing with social issues and exploring forms of film. From being a mentor for the past 5 editions, he's now jumped onto the chair of a jury member. And finally, we have Deepa with us. Her documentaries and writing has spanned a period of 40 years and engaged with questions related to women's status, political participation, and resistance. She has also been a past jury member for Nagari, but the other way around, now she's a mentor with us. So quickly for our discussion today, we are going to take cues from the films that we just saw, talk a little bit about the theme this year, the public realm, and also maybe a little bit about documentary filmmaking and how films like these help expand conversations, make issues more relatable, more understandable to wider audiences. So I think my first question would be to Sanjeev. What are the opportunities and challenges did you think a topic like the public realm sort of posed?
Yeah, it's on. So there are two things. One is, I don't think public realm in that sense is limited to what films we saw. In fact, the entire Nagari 60 films that have been made all deal with the public realm. You know, livelihood goes in accesses public realm. So does the whole issue of commons. So in that sense, where it looks at the use of common spaces in a way. But the problem really is that the public realm is no longer public now. It's become privatized. You know, the whole entire idea of development, of urban development in particular, even otherwise, allows no space for public use. People don't have any right to that space, you know. So parks don't belong to people. Roads, of course, belong to cars and not pedestrians or cycles. So in that sense, we are looking at a public realm which is becoming more and more privatized or more private. And well, historically, those were the spaces, those were the areas which actually helped build culture. It was an idea where, you know, people had festivals outside in public spaces. People would meet each other, whatever, play. Children could play on the streets, which you can't do now. Yeah. So I think those are the issues which kind of talk to public realm. This is what we saw is just a very limited kind of thing.
Yeah. On the surface. Yeah. Deepa, if you'd like to add to this.
No, I agree with Sanjeev. I think privatization and you know, if you expand that, it's about exclusive access. You know, I mean, it's not inclusive anymore. The other thing about what was remarkable about it and what we're losing, I feel, is mixed community areas, right? And in mixed community areas, in those public spaces, there were opportunities for a kind of mingling in many ways. No? Even apart from festivals, there is so many other things that happen with, say, the interaction between vendors from different communities or even markets where people come. So, yeah, I think I would say that is one thing. The other thing I think that's really changed and is alarming is what happens to certain communities and how the public space or public realm has become so hostile. You know, and this is also new, that you have so much hostility, for example, to, I mean, look at the burqa, look at, you know, any kind of marker that signifies that you are from a certain community, or, and how that has changed. The whole shift is towards that. Look at gated communities. We never had gated communities. So yeah, I think I'll just stop with that.
Well, I'm the non-filmmaker out of the panel today, photographer. But one thing that struck me looking at these films and the idea of public space, I was struck by the fact that all the films are, you know, essentially about working class people, or, you know, people struggling on the edges of our society somewhat. You know, we also have the elite who have issues with public space, or the interaction between the working class people and the elite or the rich over a public space. And I think, you know, that kind of a subject could also be very interesting for a filmmaker to deal with, or a sociologist. But I think the idea of these short films is a terrific idea, and the idea of, you know, building a huge library over time. Also you know, the short films, as you put them out on YouTube, etc., the access to students, architecture students, or sociologists, etc., is terrific, because it has a different reach now with new media. But coming to what both Sanjeev and Deepa talked about, privatization, which is happening extensively, but being from Delhi, we've seen the absolutely amazing transformation of the city of Delhi through the politics of the ruling government. And a space like India Gate, which used to be, well, over many years, a site of protest, huge protests in my lifetime. India Gate now is almost a totally sealed area. The whole area around the Chhatri, you can hardly access now. And that used to be a place where people, you know, kids would come and play cricket every Sunday. They would come from the old city, they would come from different, and you would have like, you know, 20 cricket matches happening on those lawns every day. Now it's become a sort of defense memorial, totally sealed with gates. There's not a single human being there anymore. So it's, you know, it's a strange thing to see in the heart of a city, and that space has completely been taken away. Similarly, areas in front of the Red Fort, etc. So these are subjects, I think, that maybe future young filmmakers could look at, and look at how historically, you know, spaces change, and societies change, and culture changes. You know, I think sometimes not for the better.
Yeah. So Ram, I think I want to hold on to one of your points, which was the ease of access that having these films online, especially on YouTube in the new digital age, so to say. And I'll come back to that. But I think the other thing that from most of your answers of the different ways or the different layers of the public realm, the questions around who has access to it, how cities are more development driven than people centric today. I think a lot of these questions also came to our minds when we were putting out the theme for if we are looking at the public realm, because as Sanjeev very rightly put, over the past 5 editions or the 50 to 60 films that we've made, the public realm has sort of always been in the background of the conversation. But this time we brought public realm to the foreground, where the stories were not around the public realm, but about the public realm. So Deepa, maybe you can talk a little more about this. When we receive our scripts and we initially interview the filmmakers, from their observations and their interpretations of what the pitch for the public realm is to, and this is a conversation that we had of how something as simple as going to the pani puri wala, how do you pull and extract that into something, an observation about the public realm, about something beyond that is, you know, just an act of going and, you know, loitering and coming back. How does that evolve in the mentorship process in the filmmaking?
Well, generally about mentoring, I feel, but specifically about the public realm, you know, it's a big hold-all category, right? It's huge. Yeah. It can be interpreted in so many ways. So I think the first round, there were what, 90 scripts, right? And I have to congratulate Sanjeev because all the earlier editions, Sanjeev would do the first round of, sort of sorting them out so that the mentors got the top of the pops kind of picks. And in this round, since Sanjeev wasn't part of it, we had to go through all the proposals. I think, see, various proposals are at different stages of what I wouldn't say clarity, but understanding of the theme, okay? Now, the mentoring process is really how do you assist the filmmakers, not take over their film or make the film for them, no, but how do you assist them to, in a way, like clarify or refine the idea? Sometimes maybe help with bringing in something that they may not have noticed at first count, that something that is important. How do you bring it to light? Especially, how do you complicate the idea? I think to me that's a very important part of mentoring. Like how do you lift it from being, say, linear or simple or just at one level? How can you bring about layers, or how can you complicate it in one way? And the other big thing about mentoring is that, you know, there are filmmakers of different capabilities. You have some groups who are not filmmakers, who have just an idea and want to start doing something. And that's another whole level of how you work. There are, on the other hand, there are experienced young people who have come out of film school, who have all the technical skills. So I would say in each instance, it's a different process. But I think it's a rewarding process, rewarding much more for us. I hope for them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, these, I think Nagari that way is a very unique exercise because it works around the model of mentorship. It's about putting together a team of a filmmaker, a researcher, or social scientist, working with an experienced filmmaker to sort of refine and put out an issue which needs to be very sensitively put across, one, and also needs to be put in a way which gets people to talk about these issues, gets them to be more sensitive towards these issues. In some cases, citizens' initiatives become a part of films like these. So there are larger conversations that sort of stem from films like these. And I think, and maybe Sanjeev and Ram, you all can talk a little bit more here. What role do you feel films like these play in adding to conversations around awareness, or rather, to rephrase my question, using films as a tool for urban advocacy? Do you think films like these have an impact? If yes, how? If not, then how best can films like these be used to communicate and make people more aware about today's urban lived realities?
Well, one thing I think, interestingly, you're having this festival while, all this other art exhibitions, etc., going on next door. So a little bit of self-promotion. What I've done as a photographer in the old GMC is actually very similar, but it's looking at the streets of New York City over 50 years as a site of street protest and social action. That's up there now. But also one other thing that I would recommend you go and see, I think it's in the old what do you call it, behind the Adil Shah Palace, the accountant building. There's quite a remarkable film made by the artist Sudarshan Shetty as part of a commissioned work by Serendipity. It's a half-an-hour film shot on 16 celluloid, which is rare to see nowadays, and it's set in Bombay. It's not a documentary, it's an artist film, but very interesting, and I think links very much to the themes here. But your question of films like this and the kind of forum for ideas or criticism, what used to happen, if you look at the press in India in the decades ago, there would always be quite a lot of space for people to write on urban issues or on architectural issues. There was a public dialogue in print. And of course, that was a time when a lot of, print was very important. We didn't have so much television. It became a site for public discussion. People would write letters to the editor. There would be a debate in the printed press, which has gone. So I think this kind of thing is, very important to have a kind of dialogue in a space which no longer exists.
Actually, the two people who can actually talk about how films might impact people is Anand and Deepa.
Yeah.
They really have been taking the films to people. I mean, so how do you take these films to people? And how do you engage in a conversation? There are, of course, different kinds of films than what they have done, but different agendas also probably. So beyond YouTube, beyond screening it here, how do you screen it and what do you screen and how do you engage the viewers in a discussion? That is something that we might need to explore. I don't know if that's possible or not, might not be, but that's something which needs to be looked at.
No? Okay. So we're running really short of time, so we'll open it to the audience for maybe 1 or 2 questions, if you all have any.
Or, the filmmakers are all sitting here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So questions to the filmmakers.
I think we have one there.
So I have a question, maybe a provocation more than a question. I was just wondering if I could get your views on whether you think that if you want to influence people, this is the most effective format or one of the most effective formats to do it, or if you feel that one should try a few different things maybe in parallel, or sequentially, should one try graphic novels or even shorter films or longer films, or what do you think about that?
So I can probably, when we started doing the competition, the first Nagari, the idea was, and if I'm not mistaken, that you create at least a voice. You look at, there was nothing available which was looking at urban issues in a sense that people could watch, people could talk about. So that was the idea that we started with. And I think what is remarkable is that we have 60 films now which deal with different aspects of urban life in India. Now, it's not the best, necessarily the best way or the only way. There might be several other ways, and there have to be several other ways to take this discussion forward. What that would be, I do not know. I mean, I'm not skilled enough to do a graphic novel. Neither, I think, is Charles Correa Foundation interested in doing that probably, at least now. But So sure, I mean, there has to be more than one way of taking discussions forward or actually engaging with issues. I mean, street theatre, for example, once upon a time was a big kind of thing that people used, and it communicated very actively with people. That, again, public spaces are disappearing, so that's even disappearing.
One thing that has struck me, I don't know if any of you, I mean, AI has become, such a hot and debatable area in media just now. But I don't know how many of you are seeing these amazingly short little clips of history. I've been seeing these things of Vasco da Gama, coming, landing in Kerala, etc., done through AI video, which are sort of astonishing. And you realize that anybody can cook up any kind of history now, which is going to be out there, and people, this generation, future generations are all going to think that, okay, this is real. And I'm wondering on urban issues, whether one could, use AI creatively to think, like when you saw Charles's film about trying to solve urban issues back then in 1975, if you could now use AI to look at these kinds of problems, but, propose a future or a solution which is actually very graphic and real and easier for somebody to understand than maybe a written word and statistics.
Except that when Charles made the film, he was engaged in a huge project, which is something not many people can do now, or won't be allowed to do that if it's kind of different from what the model of development demands. Oh, well.
Any questions for the filmmakers? Because, or the filmmakers responding to each other's films?
Yeah, when I was watching Charles's films made 50 years ago, I also remembered that the wisdom of those days was that if you want to deal with urban slums, for instance, it was understood that a horizontal development was actually ecologically and environmentally and in human terms better than the high-rise solution. Because the high-rise solution, what does it do? You don't invent water supply, you don't invent electricity, utilities. You can't just increase the concentration of urban space without providing everything else. While the poor who occupied, the working class that occupied horizontal spaces, makeshifts, often spending their own resources, but it might not have looked lovely, but it was still perhaps a more humane solution than the kind of vertical cities that we now see, because each vertical city actually lives off lots of other horizontal space, whether you can see that or you can't see it. So that, and also today, what you said about privatization, we are talking in kind of imaginary terms, because whatever solution we come up with, it's not going to happen because everything's being given to Adani. So if everything's being given to Adani, all you can do is to fight politically against that. It's not a technological solution that's possible. There's not even an architectural solution.
Right, thank you for that comment, Anand. Is there anyone else? Okay, thank you so much, Ram, Deepa and Sanjeev for being on the panel for a very quick discussion. And with this, I think we'll move to the last half of, not the last half, but the last bit of today's evening, which is the award, announcing the awards. Thank you. Go ahead with the announcement of the awards. I just wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate and thank all the teams and their mentors for being a part of Nagari this year and contributing to the making of yet another stellar anthology on Indian cities. Our jury panel this year consisted of reputed filmmakers, photographers, curators, film critics, and urbanists. We had Philip Enquist, a Chicago-based architect and urban planner, as our jury chair. Samira Jain, a film editor, director, and educator. Ram Rahman, whom you just saw on the panel, a photographer, curator, and designer. Sanjeev, of course, who's been with us since the beginning, a filmmaker, editor, switching gears from Nagari mentor to Nagari jury this year. And lastly, Sachin Chate, a film critic residing in Goa with a career in film criticism spanning 3 decades. We have a short video from Phil reflecting on this year's films and jury process.
Good evening. First, let me begin with a sincere thank you to all of you at the Charles Correa Foundation, especially to Nondita for inviting me to be a part of the Nagari Short Film Festival, and the other jury members who partnered with me in trying to identify the awards for this very difficult challenge. These remarkable short films, they are all great. They focus on the challenging subject of public space in Indian cities. Who is the space intended for? Who can be here? How does public space help to achieve humane cities, humane urban environments? And despite the immense challenges of urbanization, how do traditional public spaces in Indian cities survive? Public realm in urban India is a tremendous subject, much bigger than all of us, bigger than you or me. But as Charles Correa said, even though issues may be bigger than us, we can still face them. And if you face them, you have a chance to grow. These filmmakers did exactly that. They faced the larger than life issues. We are all living in an urban world. The global population, as you know, continues to grow, and the number of people migrating into cities also continues to grow. So let me riff a little bit for a minute on some details. Many countries are now at 80% urban, 80% of the total population living in cities. The world average, all the continents together, were a little under 60% urban. According to the World Bank, almost 400 million people are anticipated to be moving into Indian cities by 2050. That will double the current population of urban dwellers in Indian cities. A staggering statistic of almost 900 million people living in cities in India, and why this film festival and these filmmakers are addressing such a critical issue at this important point in time. So I would like to thank all of the filmmakers for their outstanding creative efforts. They are all works of art. And again, we are incredibly honored, all of us, to be able to review them. These films raise our awareness to issues that we are all facing, and they are all worthy of recognition and are all applicable in understanding contemporary city challenges today and tomorrow. So thank you all for your bravery in making these films. The only way to solve these issues is to face them, to quote Charles Correa again, and then we will all have a chance to to grow. So thank you again very much. And now I would like to proceed with the award ceremony.
All right, so our first award for the evening is the People's Choice Award. I'd like to invite our mentor Saurav to give away the award. The People's Choice Award is chosen based on the highest number of YouTube likes, and with a total of 1,023 likes as of 11:59 p.m. last night, the winner is Mahadwar, the Great Corridor, a film by Adwaita Patil and Yash Darekar, mentored by Rajula Shah.
आईची ताकद नाही हो आईच्या पोरासनी आईच्या भोवतीने किती आई विकून खाणारे पोट भरून
भावनेवरती देश चालत नाही आपला देश कागदपत्रावरती वस्तुस्थितीवरती चालतो
Congratulations, filmmakers, and thank you, Saurav. Our next award for the evening is the Jury Commendation Award. After a rather long and spirited discussion, the jury this year decided that there were two films that stood out in terms of their filmmaking and storytelling of the public realm. So in no particular order, first I'd like to invite Ram to please give away this award. The first Jury Commendation Award is given to Hissa, a film by Siddharth Kar and Sushmita Talukdar, mentored by Pankaj Rishi Kumar.
बचपन में जब दादाजी मुझे साइकिल पे दरिया किनारे लेके जाते तो मैं उन्हें कस के पकड़ लेती। उनके कुर्ते पे फंसे बाल मेरे गालों में चुभते रहते। दरिया किनारे बैठे मैं गोला खाती और वो मुझे कहानी सुनाते। मछलियों से भरे एक बड़े से तालाब की कहानी। बचपन में जब दादाजी मुझे साइकिल पे दरिया किनारे लेके जाते तो मैं उन्हें कस के पकड़ लेती। उनके कुर्ते पे फंसे बाल मेरे गालों में चुभते रहते। दरिया किनारे बैठे मैं गोला खाती और वो मुझे कहानी सुनाते। मछलियों से भरे एक बड़े से तालाब की कहानी।
If we can have the jury commendation citation, please. Yeah. So very quickly, Hissa is a strong and poetic film that introduces complex imagery and a distinctive stylistic voice to illuminate the lives of sidewalk workers and their families. The granddaughter's narration of her grandfather's tale adds a moving, lyrical thread, while the metaphor of the fish and the frog powerfully frames the displacement of vulnerable communities. Thoughtfully crafted and closely connected to everyday life, the film makes the concept of urban displacement both accessible and deeply affecting. Congratulations to the filmmakers and thank you, Ram. To give away the second Jury Commendation Award, I'd like to invite Sanjeev Shah. The second Jury Commendation Award goes to the film Pakadam Pakdai, a film by Swapnil A, Om and Sakshi, mentored by Saurav Sarangi. Quickly, the jury citation. This compelling film delivers a spontaneous and energetic portrayal of children's fleeting yet meaningful engagement with urban spaces. By observing the world at their eye level, it reveals how children navigate and momentarily claim the city as their own. The cinematography is lively and thoughtfully composed, reflecting the filmmaker's intimate rapport with the young people. This, combined with its understated approach and clear, memorable message, makes the film stand out as a sensitive and insightful work of storytelling. Congratulations, filmmakers, and thank you, Sanjeev. Now on to our final two awards for the night. Our next award is the Nagari Silver Bioscope, and I'd like to invite Deepa to give away this award. The Nagari Silver Bioscope is awarded to Mojni Khoj, Seeking Fun, a film by Aishwarya Gupta, Badal Maheshwari, Drashti Agarwal, Isha Thakkar, Mumtaz, Sajida, and Saumyadeep Das. Mentored by the one giving away their award, Deepa.
પહેલે બધી ટાઈપના કપડાં પહેરતી પણ પછી થોડોક ટાઈમ રહીને અનકમ્ફર્ટેબલ લાગ્યું.
પૂજ્યાના સામે જ રહું છું ને ક્યારે ઉપર સુધી નથી ગઈ. પણ એમ થાય કે ઉપરથી નીચે જોઈશ તો કેવું લાગશે. આપણે તો પહેલા પરમિશન લેવી પડે કે મમ્મી હું જાઉં, મમ્મી આ લોકો છે અને એ લોકો ખાલી બાઇકની ચાવી લઈને કે હું અહીંયા જાઉં છું ભલે મમ્મી. આ લોકો છે અને એ લોકો ખાલી બાઇકની ચાવી લઈને કે હું અહીંયા જાઉં છું ભલે મમ્મી.
This finely crafted film offers a sensitive and compelling portrayal of the ways women's lives are restricted within a conservative social environment. Its power lies in its quiet, unassuming approach, allowing the narrative to unfold without didacticism or overtone. Through attentive cinematography, the film thoughtfully captures the spaces these women navigate and the public and human interactions that shape their daily realities. The film's strength emerges from the film's subtlety, with which it conveys its message, communicating depth and urgency through restraint rather than assertion. The film's simplicity, honesty, and clarity make it a resonant and deeply effective piece of storytelling. Congratulations to the filmmakers, and thank you so much, Deepa. And for the final award of the night, the Nagari Gold Bioscope, I request Jabin, if you're here, yes, to please give away the award. The Nagari Gold Bioscope is awarded to Mahadwar, the Great Corridor, a film by Adwaita Patil and Yash Darekar, mentored by Rajala Shah.
आई अशी ताकद नाही हो आईच्या पोरासनी आईच्या भोवतीने किती आई विकून खाणारे पोट भरून
भावनेवरती देश चालत नाही आपला देश कागदपत्रावरती वस्तुस्थितीवरती चालतो
खाणारे पोट भरून
The film powerfully elevates its first-person narrative through a thoughtful and expressive integration of both form and content, resulting in a work of striking emotional and intellectual impact. It conveys the subject's knowledge with clarity, nuance, and authenticity, supported by strong visual, compelling filmmaking. Congratulations once again to the filmmakers, and thank you so much, Jabin, and welcome. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So this is Adwaita.
Yeah. Bear with me, please. This is the first time I'm speaking, but I never really took the People's Choice Award that much seriously, to be very honest. But when I went on the street again to show my documentary to the people that have been in the film, Rani Didi, who you saw saying, okay, oti gya 50 rupees, oti gya 50 rupees, she gave me peppermint candies and tamarind. And I can't tell you how I felt in that moment. And with Rajula ma'am, it has been a journey. I have felt like I'm a leaf flowing in a river in a way. She's been a sweetheart to me and never imposed anything, and she let me be myself to this film. Yash, who woke me up always through my anxiety, and he was like, okay, get up, we have to finish it. And Ravi Raj, I remember him doing the presentation last moment when there was the second workshop going on. And Parth, who always would hold the chhatri on that camera, ki haan ye bhige nahi. I can't thank people enough. I can't thank enough Yash's mom, who cooked for us always. We stayed at his home because I had a job, 8-hour job, and we would edit through that. And she was always there for me. Thank you, everybody who have been through this with me. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful.
Congratulations once again. Yes. All right, on that note, we conclude the award ceremony for the 2025 Nagari Short Film Competition. A hearty congratulations to all our winners, and a big thank you once again to all the teams for participating and helping us curate a wonderful anthology on the public realm in urban India. So this brings us to the close of day 1. For day 2 and day 3, we have some wonderfully curated sessions that celebrate city films. We hope you join us for the upcoming screenings and conversations on how cinema reflects, critiques, and reimagines urban life. Thank you once again for joining us this evening, and see you all back here tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Good night.